Have you ever wanted to take a dope vocal or your vocal and make it a dope synth? Well, now you can with OVox by Waves. And we're talking about it today on the Radium POW. My name is Max. Let's get into it. So that's my first run on the Radium channel here, so we're going to switch it up a little bit, and we're diving into Abelton, my weapon of choice. First thing we're going to do is just grab this vocal that I recorded not too long ago. If you want any tips on recording vocals, make sure to go back to the other videos, because I know Brad covered this topic many times. Also, OVox, let's load it in on there. That's the plugin we're talking about today, and you can grab it with the link in the description if you want to do dope sounds like me. So grab that down below and let's just get into it. So OVox is basically a form and shifter on crack, as you might say. You can use it as a vocoder, you can use it as a synth, you can use it as a tuning device. So it looks like this. Very straight. It looks pretty complicated at the first look, but it's really easy. There's basically two inputs. You got your voice track and you got your synth track, because the way it works is that it's set up as a vocoder. So you're going to use a synth of waveform to modulate the other waveform. So in this case, we're going to put it on the vocal. So if you just put it straight on the vocal, here's how it sounds. I'm not going to say it's a banger right away. The plugin takes a little bit of finagling, because right away it acts as a robotic formant thing, which is a really cool effect if that's what you're looking for. But you can dive a lot deeper. First thing we're going to look at is this note mapper section over here. Basically lets you, I wouldn't say as well as auto-tune, but basically retune vocals, and you get to choose chords and different harmonies that you're gonna put on it. So let's click a few just to show you. Do a major 7th and play. So you turn the note mapper on. Now we get a full major 7th chord using the internal synth of OVox. So once we got that, there's those two very important buttons, the synth knob and the OVox knob. OVox knob is for the vocal, synth is for the synth. Super simple, but what you want to do is just turn the synth up, and you're going to start blending in your analog signal or analog wavetable, you know, emulating a synth into the OVox. Let's do that. So it sounds like complete craziness, but I'm just using this to show you that that's what you want to, that's what you can do. You can use a separate signal to harmonize and use it as a vocoder. So next step, let's turn this note mapper off, and let's use an external synth drive in into OVox. I'm gonna grab another channel, MIDI channel. So now we got this synth, Vital, with just one note. We're gonna take the output of Vital right here, and we're gonna send it into our OVox track and into the sidechain input of OVox right there. So now we're sending this sound that we can't hear anymore, because now it's being sent into OVox. So let's bring it back on top of the vocal. I'm going to loop that vocal just like so. Command L to loop on Ableton. Super easy. Let's dive in. So I'm going to take the synth here down, and we're going to change the synth mode from internal to sidechain. And now the vocal is not playing, because you need to play audio from the synthesizers so that the vocal will play. So let's try it. I'll play one note. And now you can start playing with the form and styles. Turn on the second voice. And what's cool with that is that now you have complete control of like the type of sound that you're sending into OVox. So let's start playing chord and start recording some stuff. We'll go a key up. As you can see, the possibilities are endless, and once you do that, you can start really diving in the settings of OVox, use the note mapper, retune, add some chords, and of course play with the format. There's also this tone knob that's really cool. We'll shift, it's obviously EQs and filters, but it has character, it has an effect, and you also get this limiter that's on the output to, you know, give you that little layer of fatness. So we'll keep that limiter on, and then let's send this Vital track, this synthesizer, into reverb. So now we have a tail to the vocal, and that's where we can start sound designing and do really cool vocal beds, pads, any type of things. And keep in mind, guys, this is just how we're using it right now on a vocal, but you can basically use it on anything because there are no rules. So as you can see, I made just a series of pretty simple chords. So we're gonna change the fixed grid to a quarter note. Command A to select all the notes. Command U, quantize. Super easy. Now we're gonna do Command A and click the legato button so that all the notes have the same length. And we'll keep these ones at the end. Stop that last note. There we go. Super cool. So let me just adjust those MIDI chords right quick. And now we can start diving in really deep into OVox. You can turn the gain of the synth down and have only the vocal affected. Just the synth, sorry. Different tones. If you send the vocal into the same reverb, then you start getting those parallel reverb effects, delay, weird metallic resonance effect. I work a lot in electronic music, and that's usually what we're after, right? Like resonances, delays, and all these little weird things. So that's basically what you can do. Limitless possibilities. The one cool thing about it is that you do have this sidechain input for the synth, but what you can do is that you can basically reverse the process and use that on a synth and use the vocal to trigger the synth. Let's do that. I'll delete this OVox and we'll put OVox on the vital track like this. Started out. So as you can see, I'll turn the vocal off for now. We'll reroute vital straight into its group. So as you can see now, we have OVox straight on the synth, and it sounds like this. So same effect, but now instead of having the synth being external input, we're going to use the vocal, and we're going to put this sidechain mode, meaning that we're going to take our vocal right here and send it on our vital track into the sidechain. And now we're using the vocal to vocode the synth in a way. It's basically using a vocal to trigger your synth. And that's where, like, same things, now we can start playing chords and using notes and vocode the synth and play with all the settings and the tone, and it's so what I like to do with these, when you start using a vocal and sending that into the synth, it's like instead of fucking around much with the vocal, we're gonna start going in the synth. So let's start unisons up. Do that, add voices, and start fucking around with this vocal as well. So where it becomes cool and where the possibilities are limitless, it's because you can basically use any type of signal to trigger this OVox into the synth. So I like to start pitching the vocals up, chopping them up, stretching, smearing, and that's where we start having those really, really cool effects. So I'm going to move that MIDI out of the way. And start this. And that's where you start getting craziness. And not like a fart a little bit, but you know, you gotta adjust it. So the cool thing is that when you start putting this OVox on the synth, you're using the synth as the trigger, and and you're going to want to switch this voice mode to Sidechain, like we talked about before. And then the cool thing about it is that you can switch this synth mode from internal to track. That'll do is that it's not going to use the not that great sound from the synth inside OVox. You can just use anything you want, your favorite thing, your favorite VST, or any type of instruments. So when we switch that to track mode, then we can start blending in the vocal vocoded into our synth. So it's basically the inverted process, and it sounds great. And we play around with the formants. And remember, we're still using the note mapper, so that's also where you can just choose a completely different key. Let's go D, for example, and let's do a major 7th, a 5th. And then we're gonna go inside the thin. We're actually gonna delete that MIDI real quick. And now we can play really dark stuff and kind of get into the sound design aspect of the plugin. Let me go back to Vital and let's kind of change. Let's just grab a random preset, get a dark note, and play the vocal into the really dark note. I like to use that. I'll use like vocals, stretch it, cut it down, tune it down, distort, resample, and just blow it in reverbs, distort it, and you just can create those really cool, ominous sounding, trailerish, cinematic beds with it. They're really cool. So let's try that. And it's just endless possibilities. You keep playing notes, you keep playing things. Obviously, so many knobs to tweak, so many opportunities. Have fun with it. As you can see, this is a pretty intense plugin, and it's hard not to get lost in the rabbit hole. So make sure to go down below in the description, grab OVox for yourself, as well as a few special presets I made for you guys. Have fun, be creative, put it on everything. This is Max with Radium Records. I'm out of here. Peace!